Hi, everyone. Today we are with Jillian from Tuxedo Den. We're so excited to have her back. Thanks for being with us
Hi.
today. And we are here in the fabulous Tuxedo Den. If you have not had a chance to come down to their Q Street location, you definitely need to make an appointment and come on down to check out their amazing selection of suits. So tell us a little bit more about this location and what everyone can expect when they come in and get to just see all the amazingness.
Yeah, so I'm glad to be back. As we talked about last time, the store here on Q Street is a boutique, so it's a nice large space with an awesome showroom, if I don't say so myself, for people to come in and see many different displays actually on forms or hanging and see the garments in person, try them on even, so that way they get that real boutique experience. I know a lot of people, and I'll address it because we are in downtown. I know a lot of people don't want to come down this way, but we happen to be the easiest place downtown to get to. So jump in and come down and check it out and see for yourself really how awesome the store is. So
Yes.
it's a great experience.
So one of the amazing things about Tuxedo Den is that you can do custom order suits, and that is just one of the greatest things. But for me, I feel like there's still a lot of confusion on the different types of custom suits. So can you kind of give us some key differences between like the ready to wear versus made to measure and even like bespoke suits?
Yeah. So actually, that's a great question because I do get a lot of people that don't understand what bespoke is. And it is a term that we use often. And bespoke quite literally just means custom for you or custom for the client. It's something special that's a one of a kind that is made based on your specifications, whether that's measurement parameters or custom detailing and finishing. It's special for you. And when you start talking about suits in general, of course, everybody's familiar with what they like to term like off the rack. So that would be ready-made, ready to wear. You're going to get it. You're going to have a pant hem put in it, and it's ready to go. And then we start doing things like made to measure, which is actually what most people would be familiar with when they use the term custom. They're using the term custom and they're thinking it's getting made for them, but that's your made to measure. It's an existing pattern, just like something you buy at Macy's or another shop. Even here, we carry ready to wear, and it's going to be something that is just built for you based on your measurements, but not actually a custom form or pattern. And then when we get into a true custom, so a bespoke, it's a custom pattern. So your whole body measurements are taken. The entire look is designed based off of your individual body profile, not just the numbers. So how you carry your body, how you carry your muscle and your weight and how your shoulders sit. It's all built specifically for you. So a little bit different than a made to measure.
Yeah, that's so much more information than what you like I said, I never knew that quite really the difference.
I know you get me going and I can just talk about it forever.
So what are the common customizations of options available to clients?
Well, actually, so the most common and something we deal with because we also do rentals, which is something that we talked about a little bit the last time we were together, is changing out little things. So tailoring, obviously, slimming the coat, slimming the pants, tailoring it for the person, but adding little things that you can change up. Like, for instance, one of my favorite suits is this teal one behind you. It actually comes with a black button. One of the ways that I like to style it, which I helped style for another groom that got married in the fall, is we added in marbled brown buttons so that he was able to wear it with his brown belt and brown shoes and brown accents for their fall wedding versus black, where it was a little bit more businesslike. And those are real easy, common things that you can do that say, this is something I made for me, and it's not something that just I ordered online and I'm working with it.
Yeah, that's amazing. What can linings or other things be changed out?
On a ready-made suit, we won't change a lining. That's usually, at that point, if you're going to pay to have your lining changed, go ahead and just go with a custom. It's a lot of work, and it's very specialized work. A lot of people don't realize there aren't too many people that really specialize in tailoring and suiting anymore. We're very lucky to actually have an amazing seamstress on site who can do quite a bit. So we're happy to have that. But yeah, things like that don't change as much. Things that get changed out more commonly are, like I said, buttons, little accents like lapel pins, things like that that you can add to customize. Once you start playing with the linings and things that are more permanently affixed, then you start going into the made to measure and the custom. And made to measure is a really good option for you to keep it price conscious, but still pick out all those little details like your linings and your stitches and whether or not you want a different thread count or a special thread count on your buttonhole.
Oh, okay. How does a custom suit differ in fit compared to an off-the-rack suit?
That's a great question. And I think I'll address it by saying I get a lot of clients in here who come in with the mentality that they are a weird fit or a hard fit or they have a strange body type and they have to be custom. And that's not the case. A lot of suits can be tailored for you to get the right fit. And if you see something you like, and yeah, great, let's tailor it, let's make it right for you. Custom fit is going to be just a little bit more precise, but to the naked eye, sometimes it's not that big of a difference. And it really depends on the client themselves. There are a lot of things I can do with a custom fit. So I go back to something specific that I see a lot with people that are more muscular or with athletes specifically is the slope of their shoulders. A shoulder on any standard jacket, even made to measure, is oftentimes very square, but sometimes an athlete has a more sloped shoulder. Doing the custom allows you to get that exact, it's following the line of your body. There's no question about it. It was made for you.
Okay, that's great. What does the process of creating a custom suit look like?
That's my favorite part. So if you can't tell, I have a little bit of fun with this. So the process of creating a custom, again, whether you do made to measure or bespoke, made to measure is kind of the base level. You're going to get measured. There's a bunch of measurements we take. We're going to talk about the different features on the suit. So for us, I'll walk you through the different types of lapels, the different width, how many buttons you'd like, where you want that button placement, whether or not you're going to do tucks. I mean, honestly, it's a long process, but it's a whole lot of fun. And then we'll go from picking out your individual things. What color button would you like? Like I've got some that are showing right now that are, you can do wooden buttons or, marble, things like that. And then you pick your fabric and your lining. You get to pick little things like whether or not you'd want a contrast stitching. So one of the things I mentioned was on the buttonhole, contrast stitching is really popular, where you might do a blue suit and a red buttonhole, just so it pops a little bit more. And that's the baseline of the process. When we get into a full bespoke look or a custom design, part of what we do here is I can actually sketch a custom design for you. So you can give me design elements that maybe are not previously seen on any other tux, and I will sketch a full fashion design for you, and we send that off to turn into a template to then become your suit.
Wow, that's amazing. How far in advance should someone come in to start the consultation process for their special occasion or wedding, for example?
So I usually tell people you want to start the question and answer process at least 6 months in advance. That doesn't mean necessarily coming to the store, but call around, try to get some ideas. We'll ask you, well, what are you thinking? If you're thinking classic, gray, blue, tan, stuff that's readily available, whether you go custom or not, great. We'll plan for you in 3 to 6 months. If you're thinking of going custom, I will absolutely get you in at that 6 month mark, because that gives us more time to show you what's available. If you want something more specialized, that gives me time to source it. We have a huge worldwide market of fabric suppliers that we work with that allow us to get pretty much anything that you want. So if you show me something that you want, chances are I can find it for you. That 6 months gives us that window. Wow. But that's usually the earliest. There's no need really to come in too much earlier than that, unless you just want to come in and have some fun looking at suits.
I love that. How many fittings are typically needed for when you are getting that custom suit?
So with a custom suit, for your first custom suit, I like to do about 3 or 4. So first custom is coming in, picking everything out, laying the base layer, doing all of your measurements. There are some things that can be done at the factory that I actually prefer to do here. So depending on the client, there will be a finish of the taper that I like to do here, because I can get more precise on the pant and hemming the pant. I prefer to do that here. So for us, you'll come in for your next measurement, which is when you're going to try on the suit that we ordered for you. I'll do the final little pinning and make sure that everything is precise. We'll finish that, and then you'll come in for your last appointment, which should be your final to take it home.
That seems like such a quick process.
It does. It does. It is and it isn't. And I always tell people to prepare for the extra appointments. It's a little bit more when you go custom. It's a little bit more like the experience of buying a bridal gown. You're doing a few more fittings than you would for just something more basic.
Yeah. What advice do you have for maintaining that quality of that custom suit? Like once you've gone through the process and you've like put your love into this custom suit, how do you maintain that quality and like really keep it pristine?
Well, that would be the same as caring for any suit. Make sure you're keeping it covered. Keep it in your garment bag, especially before your wedding. After your wedding, if it's going to be something hopefully that you'll wear frequently, awesome. Then you just hang it like the rest of your suits that you do. The one thing that I work with a lot here are natural fibers. So I do always tell my clients about moth care and paying attention for that. Luckily here in California, it's warm. We don't deal with as much of that in Sacramento. But in some other climates they do, and it's something we walk through together. It's fairly easy to care for them once you've got them. We go over dry cleaning and things like that so that you know how often to have it cleaned.
That's awesome. Can a custom suit be used in other ways, like to make it more versatile so it's not so specifically, like you mentioned, a wedding dress?
Yeah. So actually, I've got a lot of clients that I like to do. So say, for instance, for their wedding, I might take, actually, a really common one is the tan suit behind me. Does really well, actually, for destination weddings. But one of the things, because of its features of being the peak lapel and the single button, that it looks a little bit more like what people recognize as a tuxedo. A lot of the ways that my couples like to see it is with a black accent. So we might change those buttons to satin buttons, add satin buttons on the sleeves, put it with a black bow tie and a nice gloss shoe, and then it looks like a formal tuxedo, albeit a little bit more customized. And then after the wedding, they change those back out to a nice brown button or a tan button, and then they've got themselves a nice suit that they can wear to other people's weddings and not be too overly formal. So little things that you can change to wear it again. And a lot of times you'll get a crash course in accessories from me as well. So that way you can learn how to dress it up or dress it down.
That is amazing, because I never thought about buttons just changing the look of a suit.
I know. If you can't tell, I'm a little obsessed with buttons lately.
I mean, they're amazing.
But yes, they can do a lot. They're magic, yes. And they're just, it's a fun way to play with it. That and accessories, it's just as simple as, you know, even what pocket square you use can really set your look apart from other people. So
that's awesome. So speaking of accessories, I know men's accessories are really coming back this year with the hot trends. What other trends are we seeing in the custom suits that maybe don't really, or something new that we haven't really seen lately for the custom suits?
So for weddings, I can say safely that most people are staying really classic. I'm still seeing a lot of the trends for weddings that we talked about last year. I am seeing new colors obviously emerge. Yellow is really popular right now. We're starting to see finally the little trickling of lavender and purples coming out, which is really, really exciting for me because it's my favorite color. And I've been waiting for years now. And so we're seeing that kind of thing for weddings. Now, as far as men's fashion, just in general, for what people are doing for their custom suits, I am seeing fun things like high-waisted pants are coming back. Straight leg pants are coming back. Now, straight leg pants have kind of really quickly made just a flash comeback with people saying, can I do it a little bit more straight on my pants? And we're seeing that across the board. Rental, purchase, people doing custom. I'm starting to see some cool fashion. Again, I'm happy to see California really getting a little bit more into the fashionista. So we're seeing people do cuffs on their pants a little bit more now, which usually I'll fight you on, but there are ways to do it, and it looks really classy and fun, and it's a good way to show that you've added a little extra level to what you're doing with your suits.
That's great. Are there any specific colors or patterns that are gaining popularity? I know you said the lavender and the yellow, but any like cool patterns or things coming in?
Yeah. So actually stripes have made a comeback for men's suits. So chalk stripe, pinstripe. Double-breasted actually is a great trend that's making comeback. A lot of people are just kind of testing the waters with that, and it does take a little bit of understanding to learn how to wear a double-breasted jacket. That's this guy here, where it crosses over and it's going to button into there. There's lots of different styles of double-breasted too, so it's really cool to see it come back and to see people. Again, that's why custom has kind of been going so much with especially couples getting married, because they can take something like this and maybe decide to do only a single button, or, you know, and really get it to where they want to see it and it's more unique for them. But trends like that, double-breasted, stripes have absolutely been the comeback. That, and then brown and green, still those, I don't see those colors going away anytime soon. And I showed the teal on purpose because I'm getting more requests for colors that are a little more unique, but aren't too over the top. So it's not too neon. It's just a nice subtle color that you can wear in photographs really well.
Yeah, it is amazing. And I love how it's like brought in the, you know, the trendy colors, but the suit is still remains classic.
That's right.
That's amazing. Yeah. Have you had any unusual or creative custom requests that you could kind of share with us? And how did you bring those visions to life for those customers?
I've had some really cool designs that I've done just for some of the models and some of the fashion shows that we've done, just that have come from my own imagination. And then I've gotten some really cool requests. So one of the very first customs that I did was a Mandarin style cutaway, which a Mandarin style, for those who are not familiar, is like a banded collar. So it sits up, it's totally straight. And then a cutaway buttons and kind of like swooshes away and is a little bit longer. And it was really cool. I wasn't sure how feasible it was going to be. When I started sketching it, I was like, this collar is not going to go into this cutaway. It is not going to work. And I started kind of piecing it out. And we worked for a few weeks with our factory to figure out the feasibility of getting the collar to lay right. And it honestly, he looked amazing. He looked like Prince Charming. It was so cool. That's one of the cool ones that I've done. We did a Met Gala themed wedding. 2023, I think now. And that was awesome. That was another double-breasted with but a little bit more of a unique design, because we did a deep crossover. So it actually crossed over onto his hip and then had a double removable lapel. So yeah, I've done some really cool custom work.
So it really sounds like whatever your imagination can think up, Tuxedo Den can help you create it and bring that to life. That's amazing.
Yeah, a lot of times I really like to see people's what they are hoping for, and then we see how we can, like you said, bring it to life. It's what can we do with it to see it in person.
That is amazing. What advice would you give to someone purchasing for their first suit or their first custom suit?
So this is a great question. I'm glad you asked it, because I've gotten this recently. I've got quite a few clients, especially in this time of year when a lot of my professional clients are starting to bolster their wardrobe to get ready for their professional season in law or politics or things like that. And I'm getting new clients that are asking me, that are used to, you know, spending larger amounts on ready-made suits. And I said, you know, have you considered going custom? It's going to be about the same amount, maybe a little bit less. And one of the conversations that I had most recently was with a client that is not local. He will not be utilizing me. He lives in LA. He'll be using a company down there. And I told him, and this is advice that I would give to anybody. When you're buying your first suit, find another spot like a Tuxedo Den. There's not a lot of us out there, but find an independent retailer, someone who is going to be accountable for the product that they're selling you. You know, one of the biggest things is especially for a special event, this isn't just a suit that's going to sit in your closet. This is your wedding suit, and you are taking the extra time and effort and putting it into a special piece for you. It's a work of art. You want to get that out of the transaction. And so finding someone who can help you walk through that, understand it, you'll learn a little bit about it. And at the end of the day, you've got somebody accountable to getting you that piece. That is my biggest advice. And then start with one. Don't start with 5. Even if you come in and you love me and you're like, Jillian, you're awesome. I want 5 suits. Let's do it today. I'm still going to tell you, let's start with 1.
Yeah.
And when that one comes in, will fit you. And when it's perfect, then you can pick one in every color. That's my strategy. We want to make sure we get the pattern down and get it right. And then after that, we'll go for it.
So speaking of that, so how do you help those customers that are maybe a little indecisive, or they're like, oh, I love this, and they're like, wait a second, do I don't know, maybe I like this better. How do I decide when I'm stuck between too many decisions?
That does happen. Decision fatigue is a real thing here, especially when you get me going and I'm throwing 50 things at you at once. I get it. It really depends on the client. So sometimes it's something simple like they can't decide if they know that they look good in black, but they don't know if they're going to look good in brown. So let's try on a brown. I know this isn't the exact brown, but let me dress it up. I usually take the tact that if it's on you and it's fully styled and you can see yourself put together, you have an idea, you'll know what's going to work. It's different than just going, no, this won't look good on me. I put a swatch over my shoulder and I'm going to say that this blue doesn't work on me. Very different. So that's one of the ways that we can help people with their indecisiveness. Another way is to narrow it down. So a lot of times when people come in, they don't really know what they're looking for, or they have an idea, but they don't really visually recognize what the features are. And so I'll point those features out to them, explain to them what they are, give those features names. And once the client is educated about what they are, it seems that they suddenly have a better idea of what they like and what they don't like. And that makes everything so much easier.
So on that same like tailspin, what happens when you have the person that's complete opposite? They're like, I don't know where to start. My wife or my fiance, they are the ones that normally pick. I don't wear a suit. Like, I just can't even picture myself in a suit. How do you get them to really like express their either, personalities or, kind of get them out of that comfort zone of just like, I don't know, I don't wear that.
So sometimes those clients are really fun to work with because they're like a blank slate that I can just kind of throw some things at and say, here, try this. What do you think? And no, I'm not feeling that, or, and we have to walk through. That's one of the reasons I tell people when they start their process to do some calls. Call us, let's talk about it. I will ask you the right questions to get your brain moving in the right direction so that when you come in, you're not that person. So that you're not like, I really have no idea. 99.9% of people have some idea, they just don't know how to express it. Very seldom do I get somebody who really is just like, I don't know, just put me in something. So, it's but not for a special event, not for their wedding. But I tell people, let's do a little research. I definitely give homework, so be prepared.
That's great. So what advice would you have for the brides and grooms about communicating their dress code to their guests?
Oh, so important. I know we talked about this last time, but especially important for destination weddings or anything that's outside of everybody's normal, what they expect a wedding to be. Put your dress code on your invitation. Nobody will hate you for it. And then be clear with what that dress code is. I do get, especially now, I get a lot of people in that their dress codes say something like spring fancy. And nobody knows what that is. So put things like black tie optional, things that are etiquette-wise easy for somebody to just Google and know, and that they can dress up. Really awesome bonus points if you, if you put a contact number on there so they can ask you, or if you have your website or your social media or you're doing posts or whatever is happening so that they know what to work with. And then be sure that it's clear. I get that a lot, especially with destination weddings. Weddings in Mexico right now in tropical settings, extremely popular. And there's always a lot of confusion of, I want to wear a linen suit. We're going to Mexico for a wedding. Well, a lot of weddings in Mexico are black tie.
Right.
Very formal. It's really high end. So
yeah. So speaking of that, when you are going to a destination wedding, we just recently came back from a destination wedding. And we were very lucky. The bridal party came through Tuxedo Den, so I was able to talk to you when my husband came in and was like, hey, we're going to this wedding. Make sure we're in the right category of attire. But, my husband wanted to wear a linen suit. I knew it was a more formal event. What advice do you have for those guests that are attending a formal wedding, but it is 1,000,000 degrees plus humidity?
Yeah, linen suit. And honestly, I'm going through the circumstance with a client who is also an acquaintance of mine at a local business, who asked me that exact question about 3 days ago. Hey, I've got to come see you. My husband wants to wear linen, but I'm pretty sure it's formal, and this is my dress, and her dress is black tie. And of course, the function is black tie. So, well, he definitely can't wear linen, and I don't recommend linen anyway, which is a story for another day. But you start with just a nice natural fiber. So high thread count wool is a really good way to go. It's going to be lightweight like linen. It's not going to wrinkle as badly as linen, so it'll be easier to travel with, and it's less that you have to deal with. And you have way more options in that. You can actually get a really high thread count, lightweight black tuxedo and a cotton shirt and be just as cool, if not cooler, as having been in a linen. Linen is, if you breathe, it will wrinkle, and it's difficult to iron. And if you aren't ironing it on the right setting, the easiest way to iron linen, by the way, is steam. So I know this sounds crazy, but if you're going to destination wedding, hang it up in your shower, turn the shower on hot, and leave it alone, and the wrinkles will fall out. If you iron it, a lot of times you'll iron in wrinkles you can't get out. And so a lot of people end up really struggling because they pull their linen out of their suitcase. It's awful, and they don't know what to do. And everybody's first thought is iron, and then they have a problem on their hands. 2 hours later, they've got a crease on their pant they couldn't get out.
Oh, that's such a bummer. I know I personally carry my travel steamer.
Oh, you're
just
prepared.
for that. Absolutely.
I'm not.
Where's
my dryer when I need it?
It's so much easier than trying to iron things. I can't tell you how many times my husband has asked me to iron something, and I've done that exact thing. I've ironed a crease in his shirt, and I'm like, oh my God.
It's not coming out now.
No.
It lives there now. It lives there now.
So steamer, travel steamer, Amazon, it's great.
There you go. Everybody follow the Amazon link. Yeah, I like those travel steamers.
They're great.
Okay, yeah, linen is a no-go for me. I do try to find, but I get that question a lot, though. A lot of guys are on that same path. I just want to be cool. I don't want to be hot. I don't want to be uncomfortable. Like, let me show you how you can do that and still look nice.
Yeah. That's awesome. So back to, the recommendations on that specific wording. So when you said use like black tie optional, that's great. What would you, when you were saying about the Instagram, would you have like someone put together like a mood board almost like, or what would you say?
Yeah. So I don't know that I'd go so far as recommending that, but I get a lot of not just couples, but like photographers that I work with and event planners, and especially event planners that piece together mood boards for their couples. And I've had clients come in with a mood board, and it is so helpful for them. Like the stress is suddenly lifted because they have defined parameters. They know, okay, I have to wear this color, and it has to be this, and it's this formal, and they want me in a bow tie. Great, let's do it. You just made your job and my job easier, and you're going to have a great time. And so, yes, they can absolutely post a mood board. If they have a website, give detailed descriptions. Another trend that I see as a whole for weddings are uniform color weddings. So they might tell all the guests to wear black, or all the guests, not as commonly, but sometimes, which is always interesting to me, and the photos are really cool, is all the guests to wear white. So that's always kind of cool. And then the bride usually will do an off color of some kind. Actually, I've got another wedding doing that the bride's wearing a black dress and the groom's wearing all black, and everybody else, the guests and bridal party, are in all white. So I'm excited for photos for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I recommend. I recommend just giving your friends some sort of inkling of what you want, because your really close friends will call you and they'll ask you, Jillian, what are you talking about? What does this mean? But your great cousin, they're just gonna be like, I've got to go to this wedding. I have no clue what they want. And they're just gonna hope for the best. And you really want everybody at your wedding to feel good and have a good time, and also look good in your pictures, because, photography.
Yeah, absolutely. So back to those first-time clients that are coming in that don't wear suits, what tips can you give them to make their suits look as fabulous when they're actually going to the event? Like, when you come into Tuxedo Den and you're getting fitted, you do all the things, you make them look great. but that doesn't always, they don't-
Translate.
Yes, translate at the event.
I
So
got
what advice or tips can you give them so they look just as great at that event as they looked when they left here in their fittings?
Well, I do get a lot of people that ask me if I'm going to come to the wedding and help them get dressed. So that's not a first. So no, I just recommend, first of all, pay attention in your fitting to how things are fitting you, where you're wearing them. A lot of times, and this is one of the reasons that everything we do here is kind of a guided experience. Even when you put your clothes on in the dressing room, I am going to make sure that I am seeing specifically that you're wearing your pants where they need to be, because a lot of people will come out, oh, the pants fit fine. And then they wear it to the wedding and realize, nope, they're a size too big, but they just didn't realize because they were just quickly trying to get in and out. We want to walk through that, but we'll help walk you through where to wear the pants, whether a belt is the option or a suspender. A lot of people I find that suspenders are really underutilized, but are absolutely the right way to go in terms of tuxedos, because they do not add any bulk and they keep your pant exactly where it should be. Little things like that, fitting aids like shirt stays and collar stays to keep your collar the way that it needs to be.
Okay, so for all of us that are not privy on that lingo, what is a shirt stay or a collar stay?
Okay, so collar stays are a little different. They're going to be the little piece. It's usually plastic, sometimes a metal that is going to sit in your collar and keep it straight. Most modern shirts will come with those already in them. Some more high-end shirts actually have them where they're removable for cleaning purposes. And then shirt stays actually are really neat. So they actually clip from your shirt to your sock and keep your shirt perfectly tucked in at all times. So you never have to worry about that big moment where you're like leaping in the air for the cool picture and then you get down and your shirt's like all the way completely untucked. So you get a good picture every time.
Oh, that's great.
So neat little fitting aids like that really help everything. And then the best thing you can do is just, pay attention to, we show you how to put in your cufflinks, how to work your button studs on your tuxedo, which is the little stud accessory piece for your tuxedo shirt, how to clip and adjust your bow tie and adjust your vest, and on rental pants, sometimes adjust the pant. So there's a lot involved with looking good, and it can seem like a lot when we sit here and list it like that. But when you're putting it all on, if you're involved in what you're doing, you get to the wedding, you're like, oh, I know how to work that. And then you can be the guy that's helping everybody else.
So what are the biggest myths about renting suits?
Gosh, a lot of the biggest myths. You know what the biggest one is actually, and something I get a lot, is that they're ill-fitting or baggy or they're boring. And I've been doing this long enough. I've been in the industry to understand that mentality and to have seen where rentals were. It's not that anymore. It's so not. I know a lot of times when you're thinking about renting, you're looking at the basics, and a lot of what you're seeing and what you're being inundated with is black and blue and just gray and tan. And it's all, every company has one option. It doesn't have to be that way. We are not that way. I know other companies nationwide, there are some that are not that way as well. It's one of the reasons I highly recommend independent retailers nationwide. Again, they're just regular people that want to make you look good. But they're not boring. The biggest myth is that a tuxedo is ill-fitting and boring, and it doesn't have to be that way. And we are lucky enough to have developed a technique to tailor our rentals, so we get a much more precise fit. But even still, the industry as a whole has changed so much that the rental product that is actually being made, just the rental stock, the way that it is coming from the factory, is already so much of a better fit. They've really done a lot of testing and talking to people and listening to get a good product to market. So, you don't really have to shy away from a rental anymore. And that's really the biggest myth.
So when a couple comes in and they're thinking, that, well, for one, how much should a couple kind of budget for their suits?
There's, considering that they have such an option for rentals and they're not really kind of stuck having to buy, there's not a huge budget they have to work for. Rentals are pretty straightforward. If they're looking to purchase, I like to say at least have a budget of $800 to $1,000. That's going to at least get you a really cool styled look that you own. If you want to go higher, then awesome. You start getting into, okay, you want to go custom, but it doesn't have to break the bank. I've gotten this question and not so much a question, but just I've given an answer and people have been like, whoa, I thought it would be so much more. But a lot of times you can buy your whole set for 600 or 700 and you've got a cool tailored look that you own. That's your special tux that you wore on your wedding day that now you have. And even more so with like my couples that are doing, again, tan and blue and gray, especially for springtime weddings, so many of their groomsmen and party members want to buy their suits because they've got 2 other weddings to go to later this year. They're going to wear that tan suit again. They're going to wear that gray suit again.
Yeah.
Why rent it 3 times when you can just buy it and switch out the tie?
Absolutely.
Right. So, you know, I like to tell people that I would budget for their purchase anywhere from $8 to $1,000. It's not always going to be that. It's a lot of times going to be lower than that. But that way, you're not really stuck with something you don't like or getting yourself into a budget you don't have to worry about. And that is one of the benefits to starting at that 6-month mark. You have more time to work out that budget. But that being said, that gives you a huge range to choose from. I mean, just that budget alone opens you up to so many things.
Absolutely. And I think that, you know, that is one of the things that sometimes we forget when we are budgeting is the suits, because it's not always like first on our, you know, thought process, you know, and it does, like you said, we can get things turned around much quicker than, let's say, like a full couture gown or things like that.
Well, and for us, in the end, my goal is to get my client something that they want to see themselves in, so that it is special for them. Sometimes that means they rent their suit. Sometimes it means they buy it. Sometimes it means a combination. Sometimes I'll have a client that really didn't want to buy their suit but wanted something super custom, and they'll buy their jacket and then rent all their other accessories to keep the cost down because they really didn't want to own it. They wanted that special look. And so you can play around to figure out what you want. Don't just assume that you have to be stuck one way or another. That's the point, right? It's your wedding. You should be able to make it what you want it to be. You just have to look for creative options.
That's awesome. So, Jillian, how can people follow you and find you, all those fun things?
Well, you can always say hi to me. I'm on 18th and Q. But follow us on Instagram at Tuxedo Den CA. We are on Facebook as well, Tuxedo Den, and you can check us out at tuxedoden.com to see some of our style gallery. I highly recommend checking us out on Instagram to see the new cool, fun things we're doing. We've got quite a few fashion shows coming up. Obviously, we'll be at the Bridal Showcase. We also have Fashion Week Sacramento coming up shortly after that. So there's a lot of ways that you can check us out and see some of the really cool fashion things that we're doing. We really try hard to be involved with our wedding community and our Sacramento community as a whole. So there's lots of cool ways to check us out.
Yeah, we're super excited to have Tuxedo Den at Wedding Showcase. They are going to be on the fashion show showing some of the amazing fashions. So again, tickets are on sale. We are going to be at the Safe Credit Union Sunday, February 2nd. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Jillian.
Of course, I was glad to be here.